Hi, Barbie. How are you? My
I'm
name
good.
is
How are
James
you?
Avila. I'm doing great. Very excited to talk to you.
Me
It,
too.
re- it's amazing. I love your work, and this movie. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
This movie was amazing. Your performance was incredible, and this is easily one of the most emotionally devastating films I've seen this year. So, thank you for making me cry, and my wife.
Sorry and thank you.
Amazing. What was your first reaction when you read the script?
When I read the script, I remember, reading it from the beginning to the end
Uh-huh.
in like one sitting, which is very rare for me. And then I was laughing. I was so touched. I was so moved. And I was just like, who wrote this? Like, this is like the most truthful, honest, beautiful thing I've read in a long, long time, if not ever. And I had no context that it was based off a true story or anything. I just got sent this like little indie movie. No one was attached. It would be me first, kind of just like at the very preliminary stages of it. And I just remember talking to my manager, Chris, who also, had a similar upbringing to me in the way where, one of his parents wasn't exactly, we all have our problems, right? And he really, I connected with him so much on this script and I was like, oh my God, this is powerful. This is something that like, actually means something. And when I met with Tracy, it really just all clicked. And I was like, oh wow, this is an incredibly special and singular script and story that we could be telling. And thankfully, sh- she wanted me and she got me and I did the thing.
And you definitely deliver. When we finished the movie, I told my wife, this is a real story, by the way. She was like, oh my God, this is crazy. We were very touched by it, because you shift between emotions so naturally in this role. How do you prepare for that? And can you share any techniques you rely on to access those transitions?
Sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. When I'm trying to do in a very emotional scene, I like to isolate myself right before, and I like to listen to really sad music, and I like to almost meditate because I just feel like, the pressure of being emotional in the scene is the ultimate sabotager to an actor is, when you overthink something. So I tried to really just stay and the crew was really small and like they were like my family at some point. So they all really knew when I needed like it was so sweet and cute and just adorable, and I love them so much because they know that I'm like yapping and making jokes, yada yada. But when Barbie needs her like 20 minutes before, everyone's very quiet, they're very respectful. It was just the most wonderful experience having such a respectful crew and director and everyone really being there for the performance. So to me that was, the sweetest thing. So that's really my technique of how I did it. But what was really wonderful about the script, and I never had this as an actor, where the text was so powerful to me, like what actually was written was so powerful to me that I just kind of let my body dictate what was happening. And I let all these emotions come out in a very raw way that like I don't think I have done as a performer before, and to calibrate the emotions of all those things is very tricky because you don't want Tracy and I talked about this at length, and I forget that people don't think about this when they're watching a movie because I when I make them, it's like every little detail is like thought out so crazy. But if I do a scene that is very emotional, we wanted that to pay off. So we don't want to do too much of those, or else it becomes not as powerful. And so
Mhm.
we're really picking and choosing what places this really meant something, and what was the most powerful way to go about the story. So calibrating the story at all times, and you shoot in a non-linear way, obviously, so out of order. So you really have to be very familiar with the script and very familiar with what is coming up in the journey. Um, so yeah, it was definitely a dance that we did to calibrate it.
And I think you guys, everybody in the production, including you, obviously did an amazing job. I mean, you start the movie crying like a river, and then you go and meet your father, and he left you, and I'm like, whoa, this escalated quickly. This is in like 30 minutes of the film. You're completely destroyed, and I'm here suffering for you.
Oh yeah, and what's crazy is that the first scene wasn't supposed to be that. It actually was supposed
Ah,
to. it was supposed to be the 3rd scene, that scene. But when we
Ah,
shot it, it just felt, I heard Tracy talk about that, Tracy talk about this, but it just felt like so encapsulates what Lily is, which is this extremely emotionally hurt person who is
mhm.
constantly trying to make other people feel better at the expense of herself. So I really like love the decision that Tracy made of putting that as the first ever, because it's almost silly. It's almost like you laugh a little bit, but then you also are like, oh girl. It's very indicative of who Lily is
Yeah,
as a character.
yeah, yeah. So how was, your experience working with Tracy as a director?
It was amazing. Tracy is an incredible, like, actors director in a big way.
Mm,
She values the characters so much, more than anything else, which is not always what you get when you're,
mhm,
working with someone, and that's okay. Like, if you're in a really stylistic film that's heavily styled, you know what you're in for, and with Tracy, it was all about these characters and how they felt, and so it felt like a like we had to really show up because the whole movie
mhm.
was relying on the performances and the realness of it rather than anything else. So, yeah, it was amazing. Tracy is incredible at, like, getting people to guiding them into the right place and making sure the story is on track.
I'm glad to hear that, because you can actually see the performances of her as a director and her guiding you, right? You can actually see it in the final product that is genuinely good, right? Does this project push you in any new direction or teach you something unexpected as an actor?
Oh, 100%. I think I unraveled so much stuff in my craft doing this movie. It was very tough. It was a tough film to shoot. I felt like every day I was like had this massive challenge to undertake, and everyone was like fighting with me and doing it with me, which was really cool. I think what I'm always looking for in project. I produced another film last year, because we shot this 2 years ago. So last summer, I produced another indie film that I was in, which was really cool. So it definitely like gave me the confidence to do that, and it also gave me the confidence to really trust my work and trust that I can, pull off things. And I always am looking for things that are different and challenging. So, things that are different than Bob Trevino, but still has that well written quality to it is something I'm always looking for. So yeah, it's really changed my life.
Good. So before I go to my last question, I just got to say this movie is, I believe it's a milestone for your career.
Oh,
It's before and after moment, right? That defines you as an actor. So again, congratulations. Sorry, the movie made me really it really touched me, to see your
thank
performance
you.
and everything. So it's great. Okay. So my
Thank
last question, was there any particular scene that was especially difficult for you emotionally?
I think the puppy scene was the most difficult scene for me emotionally because I don't know what really came over me. It just was something that naturally happened and it wasn't really written and wasn't really
Mhm,
planned. So it was a little bit
mhm,
like chaotic or like, John Rosario, the DP, had to like change camera angles really quickly. And thankfully Tracy was on board with like following my flow instead of,
mhm,
trying to try to like calculate it exactly with the camera. She was like really just capturing what I was doing. And so that
mhm,
was really cool because it just felt like, this scene was so big. There were so many people there. There were like, a lot of the executive producers were there, a lot of like, a lot of the people were there. And so I felt like a lot of pressure of let's do this scene. And it was just wonderful to have that release in there for Lily and for me.
Great, great. Well, Barbie, that's all my questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate your work. And I just got to say, you are going places. Keep it going. Keep doing the great work. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So kind.
Take care.